Hey guys, this is Haley from oneonrabbits.com, and in today's video, I am going to be doing controversial rabbit opinions. So in this video, I just went ahead and asked people on my Instagram, which is official101rabbits, linked down below like always. And I just asked people to list different controversial rabbit opinions, and I basically am going to react to them and tell you what I believe or what I think about them. So a lot of these different opinions, I'm just going to state them, state which side that I agree with, and I will provide the reasoning why I agree with it. So I just thought this might be interesting because I know there are different controversial opinions within the rabbit community. I personally have very strong opinions and very strong opinions on certain things that a lot of other people don't. So I thought this might be interesting for you guys to learn what I think and what I agree with. You know, who knows? Maybe you guys agree with me too. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'll change your mind. I don't know, let's see. So let's just jump right into the video. So in no particular order, I'm just gonna be scrolling through these comments that were left on my Instagram. So the first thing is, Brachycephalic Rabbit Breeds should not be bred. So I don't know how to say that word, but basically it's like the breeds that have squished faces. Other species as well have these cats and dogs. So some of the breeds that have that are like different lot breeds, some of the dwarfs, basically any of the rabbits where instead of the nose going slanted down, it goes straight flat. I agree with this. I do not think that rabbits should be bred in a way that is harmful to their vital systems, which is breathing, teeth, their teeth growth and things like that. I don't believe it's ethical. I don't believe it's ever ethical to breed breeds that compromise any sort of thing that a rabbit needs to survive. So yeah, I agree with this, and I kind of agree with it with all species as well. Cats, dogs, you know, I don't think it should be bred. Rabbits should not be in harnesses, even if done properly. Again, I agree with this too. A lot of people use harnesses on their rabbits, and they say that they use it as a safety measure and that they never pull on their rabbit, and because of that, it is safe. My thing is, so overall, harnesses are dangerous for rabbits because of their delicate structure and delicate bones. If a rabbit was to ever be pulled against a harness or a leash, it could potentially break a bone, lead to a very bad injury, potentially even paralysis or death. Rabbits can die from breaking their spine, and this is a possibility with harnesses. So my thing is, people say that they use harnesses as safety measures, but they never allow their rabbits to pull. How is the harness providing any sort of safety if you would never pull on the leash? Basically, a harness is meant to contain an animal, and if you would never allow that rabbit to be pulled or contained, what's the point of the harness? You should just get rid of the harness. It is safer for your rabbit to not be on a harness than for them to be in one. There's literally no reason for a harness, because if they were to ever get scared and bolt, and you claim that you will never pull on that leash or you will never let the leash be pulled, then why are they on the harness? They should just be without one. Now, another thing, a lot of people use harnesses because they take their rabbits outside. I might get into this in a later thing. I don't agree with rabbits going outside, so yeah, it's a big no for me. Harnesses are never safe under any circumstance, and you should just not put your rabbit in them. If you're absolutely gonna take them outside, it is safer for them to be without a harness. Maybe put them in a pen or something. Free roam versus pen. You know, whether rabbits should be free roam in a bedroom, free roam in the entire house, or if they should be in some sort of enclosure or pen. Personally, I am pretty neutral on this opinion, to be honest. I think if rabbits are in pens, they need to be very large. A 4 by 4 foot pen is the absolute minimum that one rabbit should ever be housed in. They should never be in anything smaller than a 4 by 4 foot pen. Larger is better. For example, if a rabbit's in a pen versus free roam, you know, I think it really depends on the person. A lot of people can't free roam because they're still children in their parents' houses and their parents don't allow them to. I do think a rabbit can still have a very fulfilled life if you provide proper free roaming time, proper enrichment within their pen area, a large enough pen, things like that. I don't think that the rabbit is being abused in any way. I don't think their life is less than in any way. Yes, free roaming, I do prefer that. If you're like, I have the space to free roam, but I'm gonna put them in a pen. Personally, I would just go with the free roam. That is the better of the two options, but I'm not anti one or the other. So pretty neutral, I guess. As long as everything's being done properly, I'm good. Rabbits being spayed and neutered or left intact. So I am very, very, very pro spay and neuter. The reasoning for this, for rabbits specifically, I'm not gonna get into other species of animals because I'm not an expert in those, and you know, we can leave that for someone else to discuss it. For rabbits specifically, the reason that we need to spay and neuter rabbits is because rabbits were not designed to live 10, 12, 14. I saw somewhere recently that a rabbit was having their 15th birthday. Like, they were not meant to live that long. Because of that, their organs, specifically females' reproductive organs, do not last that long. Because of that, they are very, very, very prone to cancer by the age of 2, because 2 is the average lifespan of a wild rabbit. Wild rabbits have relatively short lives, typically less than 2 years. So because of that, female reproductive organs in rabbits do not normally last more than 2 years. Because of that, every year the rabbit ages, the more increased chance of getting reproductive cancer. So they can get uterine cancer or ovarian cancer. Because of that, it is vitally important for a female to be spayed for the health of the rabbit. If you want your rabbit living longer than 2, 3, 4 years of life, you need to get them spayed young so that they can survive. Rabbits can be spayed, you know, older in life. It's always up to the vet's determination. Now, for males, they can get testicular cancer. However, it is a lot more rare than, for example, females. It's extremely common for them to get reproductive cancer. For males, it is a lot more rare for them to get testicular cancer, but it is still a possibility. The main reason for neutering males is males have an extremely high mating drive. This is because in the wild, rabbits only live typically 1.5 to 2 years. Because of that, rabbits must reproduce very, very quickly. That means they're mating constantly, they're giving birth constantly because they need to reproduce fast because they die quickly. Without that, the species would go extinct. So because of that, males have a very, very, very high mating drive. What happens when you leave a male intact is that they are constantly searching for a female. That is literally ingrained in their DNA to reproduce. When a rabbit isn't able to fulfill that, there comes a lot of frustration and a lot of unwanted behavior. So a lot of males just have a lot of mating behaviors like circling, honking, spraying urine. They'll hump things, they'll hump on you, they'll hump on objects, they'll hump on other things. And even if they're not displaying those behaviors, they tend to get very stressed and very uptight, and I don't know how to describe it, but basically because they're not able to fulfill mating, they just become very stressed. And when you neuter a rabbit, it takes away that urge to constantly mate. Therefore, relieving the rabbit's stress immensely. So yeah, definitely neuter your males. And I don't promote breeding, especially backyard breeding. So please do not even think of like, oh, I'll just give my male a friend to mate with. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Anyways, females can also have aggressive behaviors before being spayed. They're very territorial. They can be aggressive. Males can also be like this too before being fixed. So behavior is another great big reason. So behavior and health. All right, next topic. Indoor versus outdoor rabbits. And I saw someone specifically say in the UK. My dad is literally outside, ignore that. Some people think that it is okay to house rabbits outside in the UK because the UK has a few different, like, I guess, environmental factors. They don't tend to be as hot, they don't tend to be as cold, they're kind of more in the middle, and they also have vaccinations for their rabbits. However, there is a lot more that goes into housing rabbits indoors versus outdoors than just being vaccinated and environmental factors. One of the biggest things is rabbits do not have as fulfilled and as happy lives when they are outside. They do not get as much interaction, they do not get as much fulfillment out of their life. I do have an entire video on the reasons on why rabbits should not be housed inside, and I will link that up above. It's like a 30 to 40 minute video, so I'm not gonna go over it here. But basically, I do believe all rabbits should be housed inside, regardless of vaccination status, climate, or bugs, anything like that. There are so many reasons, and honestly, I will never say that rabbits are as happy outside as they are inside. So anyways, keeping healthy rabbits alone. I do not agree with this. I think it's extremely selfish if you have one rabbit who is completely healthy, nothing's wrong with it, and you just don't feel like getting another rabbit. I have a whole video on like reasons that you should have a rabbit in pairs or, you know, in multiples versus just one. But basically, European rabbits, which is what our domesticated rabbits come from, live in groups in the wild. They are not singular rabbits. Our cottontails that we have in the United States are singular solitary animals, but the European rabbit, which we don't have in the United States, are not solitary creatures. They thrive in community and they have multiple rabbits within their warrens, which means if we're depriving them of their natural state, yeah, that's on you. Yeah, there are a couple reasons why a rabbit couldn't be bonded, which I do go over in that video, I think, but certain illnesses, you know, may require your rabbit to be single, very old age, like I have had in the past. Some people claim that some rabbits are unbondable. That is not true. You just have not found the right rabbit. Yeah. I will admit bonding is extremely hard, and if you have never done it before, there is a very high fail rate. Because of that, I do feel really bad that there isn't a lot more education on how to bond rabbits out there. I do have 3 videos out there that I recently posted. I'll link above. I think a lot of people's rabbits, they try to bond them and it doesn't work out, simply because there isn't a lot of good education on bonding out there. And if you make like a couple wrong mistakes, it can literally cost you like your rabbit's bonding. So yeah, I do understand that it is very difficult to bond. And I do think that is one of the main reasons that a lot of people don't bond, because they try it and it doesn't work because they don't know how to do it properly. Oh, here's another one. Rabbits should never go outside at all, even just for like short periods of time, supervised, all that stuff. I personally do not. The reasoning currently is RHDV2 is in the US. RHDV2 is an extremely deadly virus. I believe they die within 12 hours of being infected, and there is no cure, and it's a brutal death. The United States has not cleared the vaccination for use in the United States except for emergency situations only. So my rabbits are not vaccinated, and the majority of rabbits in the United States are not vaccinated. Now, if you live in another country where rabbits are vaccinated and you don't have a lot of ticks, I live in one of like the worst counties in the United States for ticks, and then you have an area that is, you know, completely safe and you only let them out extremely supervised. I'm not gonna say that's cruel. I'm not gonna say that's bad. Would I do it if my rabbits were vaccinated, there was no ticks, and I was right there? I don't know. I've gotten very comfortable with never letting my rabbits outside. So for example, I live in one of the worst Lyme disease counties in the United States, which is why I'm bringing up ticks. I know a lot of people who have Lyme disease and a lot of animals who've gotten Lyme disease in my county. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. I guess maybe I would have this conversation later when maybe vaccines are there and I don't live here. I don't know. There's a lot more than ticks, vaccines, and other things to worry about. There are predators, there are people, there are dogs. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but for me, it's not an option. Covered litter boxes versus uncovered litter boxes. I am very, very passionate about this if you have not seen my other videos. So rabbits should never be in covered litter boxes. Cats should never be in covered litter boxes. Covered litter boxes should go extinct. They're horrible. There are actually, I believe there are studies out there that show, specifically in cats, rabbits don't have a lot of studies on them simply because they're not a very researched species, but cats in general have a lot of research behind them that covered litter boxes have been shown to cause things like asthma, a lot of breathing problems, respiratory problems. And we know from experience that rabbits have very poor respiratory systems, especially if they're one of those breeds with the smushed faces. They have even worse respiratory issues. That's why we do not use pine or cedar shavings. Those can cause respiratory issues in rabbits. But even that's another reason why we change our litter boxes very often. That's why we don't use anything scented in our homes or around the rabbits. Rabbits have awful respiratory infections, way worse than cats, way worse than cats. So if you're gonna stick them in a hooded litter box that has been proven in cats who have better respiratory systems to cause respiratory problems, like that does not make sense. They should be extinct for all creatures everywhere. So no. No hooded litter boxes ever, period. Hay rack versus non-hay rack. For me personally, I will always use my hay boxes, my metal boxes. I have them for sale if you guys are interested. I know they're expensive, so not everyone can afford them, but I love them. They are amazing. I mean, there's other hay rack options as well. Some hay racks I do believe cause frustration in rabbits. I've seen them bite, like the ones that are made out of wire. I've seen rabbits bite it and shake it because they're so frustrated they can't get the hay out. So in those cases, I would say I don't really like hay racks because if they're causing more frustration, then it's not worth it. However, I love my metal boxes. My rabbits can easily get the hay out, no big deal. But am I gonna say that someone else who's not using a hay rack is like bad? No, not at all. I just, for my sanity and for easy cleaning and less hay waste, I find using a hay box the best option. But you do you. It's not really one of those issues that I'm super passionate about or anything. Pellets versus non-pellets. You know my opinion. Pellets should not be fed to healthy, happy bunnies. Pellets have been known to cause more digestional problems than they do help a rabbit. As long as you're feeding them a proper diet, which link in the iCard, I have a whole video on proper adult rabbit diets. Yeah, there is no reason for rabbits to eat pellets. The one and only reason a rabbit should eat pellets is if your veterinarian prescribes them as a treatment for some sort of medical issue. Most likely, this is going to be for weight loss in elderly rabbits or in rabbits who have other underlying illnesses that cause them to lose weight. In that case, go ahead, follow your vet's opinion. My vet actually recently told me to use pellets on Ebony, who is experiencing weight loss due to her age. The issue is that Ebony will not eat them. She is the pickiest rabbit on earth, so she will not eat them. She won't eat anything that causes weight gain, so we are kind of stuck in that area. I'll keep you updated if I find anything, but yeah. Do I support grass-only diets? No. Rabbits in the wild eat a lot of roughage. So rabbits in the wintertime when there isn't greens available, they eat a lot of roughage. They eat sticks, different roughage like that, which is why we provide 80 to 90% of hay in a rabbit's diet. This mimics the roughage that rabbits would eat in the wild. Hay is the most important thing. There's a lot of reasons for that. Link in the iCard for my diet video. However, rabbits also eat a lot of fresh greens in the wild, especially during the spring and summer times. They eat a lot of that, and that is part of their natural diet. So we do need to be giving fresh greens in their diet. So link in the iCard again for their explanation, but a hay-only diet, no, don't agree with that. Ooh, haha, only having one bunny, but socializing them with a lot of other rabbits. This one makes me angry. No, it doesn't make me angry. I'm sure this person has no idea that this is really bad. So let's talk about this a little bit. So like mentioned, rabbits are very social creatures and they live in groups in the wild. So why would it be bad for your rabbit to have play dates, to fulfill that social need? Well, rabbits are also extremely prey animals, which means they spend their entire lives focusing on not dying. Something that puts them a lot at risk for, being eaten by a predator is by other rabbits who are not part of their warren coming in and causing predators to become aware of them. So for example, the reason the bonding process is so difficult for rabbits is rabbits have to trust the rabbit that's coming into their warren like 100%. If a rabbit does not trust that other rabbit 100%, it could put their entire warren at risk for being eaten. So Rabbits go through an extensive bonding process in order to trust another bunny. This takes several days or sometimes weeks or months depending on the rabbit, and it takes them a long time to bond because they have to trust them. When you're first starting out, it is stressful on another rabbit to, meet a new bunny because they're like, I have no idea who you are. Are you going to put my life at risk? I don't trust you. So if you are constantly, if you're constantly, or not constantly, but if you're just having play dates with different rabbits, even if it's the same rabbit over and over, that rabbit does not fully trust that rabbit, and this is not fulfilling that social need. This is causing stress on the other bunny. This is being, are you dangerous? Are you gonna whatever? Even if the rabbits are acting like they're ignoring each other or whatever, yeah, not safe. Also, a lot of the times this is done in large areas. This is a very bad idea because rabbits can fight. And if you basically ignore all the bonding steps and just put them in a large room and it's like, woo, go have fun, go socialize. This is a big disaster in waiting for a rabbit fight. Please do not do this. Rabbits are not dogs. You do not just put them together, and dogs even in general, that's not always a smart idea. So yes, please don't. Taking your rabbit with you on vacation. I do not agree with this unless it's a situation where you have a vacation home and you go there for 2 weeks or something, and it's a 2 to 4 hour drive. I don't see an issue with that. Drive to your other house, have a vacation, come home. Your rabbit will most likely be fine. But other than that situation, I don't agree with it. Rabbits should not be flying on planes unless you adopted a rabbit for some reason in another state and had to fly it home, a one-time thing, that's fine. I think I'm going too hard. People are gonna literally yell at me. Taking a rabbit on car rides for those who don't care. I would say probably 90% of rabbit owners do not properly read rabbit body language. You probably know the general gist. You can probably tell when your rabbit's freaked out, when they're thumping, when they're happy and binking. But there are a lot of subtle body languages that a lot of people do not know and are not aware of. I have seen hundreds and hundreds of photos on Instagram of people being like, oh look, I brought my rabbit to the park, or oh look, I brought my rabbit in the car, or oh look, I brought my rabbit on a plane, and they're like, oh, my rabbit doesn't care. And in the photo, there's 5 different body languages that I can see of stress signals in that rabbit when the owner is clearly stating, oh, my rabbit is fine. I'm like, stress signal, stress signal, stress signal, stress signal. So no, I don't agree with it. I think people need to learn body language, but I also need to point out, I have owned rabbits for, 11, 12 years, I don't know. And I'm very intuitive and naturally pick up rabbit language. I've had friends of mine who are literally great rabbit owners, amazing rabbit owners. And they've basically been like, I have no idea how you totally understood what my rabbit was thinking right now. And I was like, it's so easy, this, and this. And they're like, I couldn't see it. So I do realize I do have a natural instinct for reading rabbit behavior that a lot of people probably don't. But just because you can't read it doesn't mean it's not there. So anyways, but yeah, okay, it's pouring. I think I should end this video. But anyways, yeah, but I totally get it. I just got a dog and I am not a natural dog behavior reader. I rely a lot on other people to tell me what different behaviors mean so that I can learn. So I'm not blaming anyone who honestly didn't know that this, and this were stress signals. I'm just saying, do better, learn, and once you learn, oh, my rabbit was stressed in that situation, don't do it again. Ooh, pineapple and GI Stasis. No. It's been scientifically proven to not work and to be harmful for GI Stasis. Literally makes it worse. Do not do it. Take your rabbit to the vet immediately. Okay, so I'm gonna go because it's literally thundering and pouring outside. That's why it got so dark. I was like, I know it's not it's literally 6 o'clock. Why is it getting dark outside? Yeah, I did not know it was gonna storm, so that's my fault. I was like, I swear I had enough time to film a video before it got dark out. But yeah, summer storm. So anyways, I do wanna put a disclaimer out there that I feel like as the video progressed, I got more and more aggressive. To be honest, I try not to show these opinions this opinionated online very often because I know probably 50 to 80% of you do not agree with most of what I just said, because I do have very strong rabbit opinions. However, it is all backed up by logical sense, which is what I explained to you guys. So I do understand that, you know, 50 to 80% of you may not agree with everything that I said in this video. And you know what? That's okay. We're all human. We don't agree with everything. You know, I do think there are basic yes and no things with rabbit care. I don't think that, you know, if this is gonna kill me to say this, but like, you know, someone gave their rabbits pellets and they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna continue to give my rabbit pellets because I think it's good for them. I totally disagree with that, but do I think they're abusing their rabbit? No, I don't. But I do have reasonings behind what I believe, and I did explain those to you guys. So anyways, I just want to point that out there that yes, I do have very strong rabbit opinions. I have reasonings for those opinions, but just because our opinions differ does not mean I hate you, does not mean I think you abuse your rabbit. I just want to put that out there because I think some people are like, my way or the highway, and no, literally every single friend that I have who has rabbits does something I don't agree with. Every single one. Every single one. I don't hate them. They're literally friends. I'm literally friends with them. Some of them are my best friends. Like, that does not mean that, like, just because you don't do one thing that I am obsessed with, that I'm gonna hate you. No, these are just my controversial rabbit opinions and why I believe them. I thought it might be an interesting video. Pretty sure there's gonna be 50% of you who wanna argue down in the comments. Please don't, I hate arguing, and most likely I won't be reading the comments because I can't handle like people arguing, and like that literally hurts my heart. So yeah, let's just accept that people have different rabbit opinions. Maybe I changed your mind, maybe I didn't. Okay, one more thing, because I literally hate controversial things and I hate people being upset and stuff. So I just want to make it super clear that I am not upset with anyone. I know specifically like the whole outdoor rabbit thing is going to be a big controversial thing. I just want to say that, again, I don't hate anyone. I know I was like, I'm going to be silently judging you. You know, that might be true. I might be like, hey, your rabbit's showing 20 stress signals and you're ignoring it. Like, all right. But, you know, I do believe everyone has to learn. You know, some people literally just don't know, and I don't believe in punishing people or literally going in, like, it just drives me crazy when people are like, oh, your rabbit's in a store-bought cage and blah, 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 blah. And the person's literally like, I had no idea. So I know this video came across a little harsh, but for those of you guys who are learning and did not know these things, that's fine. I've been there. I have literally made every mistake that I am talking about in this video. Every mistake. I had used rabbit harnesses when I was 12. I had my rabbits outside when I was 12. I didn't know better. These are things that people learn, and as you learn, you make educated choices to change your behavior. That is literally how humans exist. Humans make mistakes. Humans don't know everything. Once they learn something, they should, hopefully, make better choices. If a human literally learns something and learns the facts and chooses to ignore them, that's a different story. That's when you start to be like, okay, honey, maybe rabbits are not for you. But everyone learns. There are things I still probably do wrong. As I learn more facts, I will get better, I will improve. There are literally things right now that I know I could improve on my rabbit care. If you think that you're perfect and you cannot improve on your rabbit care, that's when the sirens go off, and that's when you should be concerned. No one's perfect. If someone tells you I'm perfect, no, it's not true. No one knows everything. Everyone should always be constantly learning and constantly improving. So anyways, I'm so sorry. I hate controversial things. That's why like I literally stressed over making this video, and I was like texting my friend. I was like, are you sure I should do this? Like, I'm really scared. She's like, no, do it. People will like it. So I don't know, let me know in the comments if you liked this video. If you don't, I don't know, maybe I'll delete it. I don't know, I've never deleted a video before, so. Anyways, I am so nervous to put this out. Should have checked the weather apparently, but I thought it was only gonna storm earlier today, not now. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Do you like my blue hair? Leave it in the comments below. I like it, so I think I need to end this video, so bye.